Welcome. Thank you, everybody, as always, for hanging out during what has been, excuse me, need to get some water. During what has been a very fun 24-hour live stream. It's been a blast. But now we're here hanging out, waiting to see who wants to join. So please take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. And as always, any thoughts you guys have on Freemasonry, please let me know, positive, negative, or neutral. As you guys know, we are in the midst of a 24-hour content marathon. Um, Here it is. I've had a blast and really enjoyed the streams thus far. I've done multiple streams. We've had multiple people joining. I've been, as you know, raising funds for the Masonic Medical Research Institute. But now we're here, we're hanging out. We are on the home stretch. I started yesterday at 2 p.m. I also did some content on Instagram, across social media channels. It's been a blast. Now we're here, so let's see who finds us. Once again, as always, hit like, hit subscribe, and any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, let me know. We'll give it some time. Thank you to all the wonderful mods who've helped make this a success as well. I appreciate it. You can also find my content on my other social media channels. Like I said, I posted some stuff on Instagram, on Facebook, on my other YouTube channel, which has seen growth as well. So I'm grateful for that. And now let's see who finds us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are on somewhat of the home stretch here. So we are definitely 3/4 of the way done, or almost 3/4 of the way done. Dun, dun, dun. And I hope you guys also enjoyed learning about, hello, Earth the Kitten. I remember you, yes, because I remember the Earth the Kit connection. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Venus chapter number 149. Welcome. John Calvin says GI and then says HI. How's it going? Hello to you as well. I hope that you're doing well. I don't know if you saw earlier, Eartha Kid, but I was discussing the Masonic Medical Research Institute. I really enjoyed discussing it. 50%. Um, sorry, 50% of all the funds and all the revenues from super chats, etc., will go to the Masonic Medical Research Institute during this 24-hour period from today until basically today till 2 p.m. Eastern. So supporting the channel also supports a truly wonderful organization and a gem within our Masonic family. I agree, Eartha. And I did 2 interviews with the Masonic Medical Research Institute yesterday with brethren from the Research Institute, including past Grand Master Bill Sardone, District Deputy Grand Masters, and people involved with the Masonic Medical Research Institute. I've loved it. Confessional faith, whether or not Freemasonry should be, whether or not abortion should be banned is a political question. Some Masons will say it should be, some Masons will say it shouldn't be. Every Mason can decide for himself. Nice. Yes, we reconvene in September as well. How much have you enjoyed taking the break, Eartha Kitten, this summer? Has it gone well for you? Obviously, and please, by the way, if you're new to the stream, hit like and subscribe. I think a lot of Masons really enjoy the summer break, but also can start to get antsy and want to get back into it, right? It's kind of our nature, it's human nature to, after a little bit of time, you start to you start to miss the lodge and miss the brothers and everything that comes with it. So what are you thinking about as we come closer and closer to September? Mason, welcome. Misery. I would support you hitting the like and subscribe button. Hassan, I don't know if I remember you from yesterday or not, but it's been a lot of streaming the last little bit. Carlos, New York City. Welcome, Carlos from New York City. Where in New York City are you from? As someone who is just in New York City, but has not spent a lot of time there, so it's tough for me to say. Who is Jinxie? I don't know who this person is and why he keeps coming up in my streams, or people keep discussing him in my streams. I'm doing well though. How are you doing? I'm tired too, I promise you. Amsterdam, very cool. Well, welcome. Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh, books on the esoteric breakdown of Freemasonry. I mean, the book I always recommend to people to check out about Freemasonry, positive, negative, and neutral, is the book I always recommend for people to start with is Freemasonry for Dummies by Chris Hodap. I think it's a really good book. I think it really explores Freemasonry well, and it does delve into some of the esoterics of it quite a bit. Beyond that, I mean, John Bizak has some great works about Freemasonry as well. Lots of coffee. I'm about to sneeze at the moment, maybe. Nice. Which lodge are you a member of, Carlos? When you say traveler, I'm assuming Mason, or do you just mean a literal travel, like you travel around? Once again, I have no idea who this Jinxie person is. Hello. I'm not going to say that name. How's it going? Thank you for being here. I think you know why I won't say your name. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is put you in a bit of a timeout. Just because I don't have time to be dealing with foolish names at the moment. It's going well, Dad. How are you doing? I hope you had a good night. I hope things are going well. You should be asleep, though. It's like 6 in the morning where you are. What are you doing up so early? But it's been fun. I've been hanging out. I've been drinking lots of coffee, which is the most important thing. Um, as we continue hanging out and chatting about Freemasonry and celebrating the Masonic Medical Research Institute. Also, as I mentioned on Instagram, today is, or actually technically yesterday, so it's now past, was international, actually let me get the exact wording of it. International Day for Underwater Cultural Heritage. Basically, all of the stone monuments and stone temples and archaeological finds that have been discovered underwater and preserved by underwater archaeologists and underwater explorers. Freemasonry is the study of stone and water. Or Freemasonry is about stone and water, right? And so, as a consequence of that, anything that celebrates both, including International Day for Underwater Cultural Heritage, I want to reference and celebrate. Nicole, well, they're red because I've been up basically for almost 24 hours doing a live stream marathon. So yeah, my eyes are going to be a little bit red, but that's all right. We're hanging out. We're celebrating the Masonic Medical Research Institute. It's been a good time. Well, at least you're still in bed, Dad, so you're making me jealous, but nice. You're the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite, AASR. Very cool. I'm a member of Scottish Rite as well. 18th degree, Rose Qua. I didn't go up to consistory. Mr. Robinson, not as much as I should, unfortunately, but I'd like to study it a great deal more. It's unfortunate I don't think I've studied it enough. Well, the marathon is still going, Luke. Started yesterday at 2 p.m. We've basically been going for the last, 16, 17 hours with breaks here and there. I did say I would be taking breaks as I went, but basically started yesterday, August 21st, 2 p.m. Um, and it's been going really well. So, Mr. Robinson, I mean, the most recent stonework I studied was the Spanish Renaissance related stonework. But I do want to study it more frequently. I mean, I've also studied a little bit of South American stonework, ancient Egyptian stonework, but none, sadly, as much as I should or would like to. So I got to be better about that. We as Freemasons should never forget that we are the continuation of stonemasonry in a social setting. And we should be always respectful of and remembering our stone Masonic brethren and their works that have made their way underwater and are being preserved therein. I mean, the marathon goes until 2 p.m., but we go across multiple channels and multiple streams and multiple platforms, right? And multiple channels because I have this channel and then I have my personal channel, youtube.com/at Cameron Adamson. I should study the monuments in the Plattsburgh, Elberg, Leon Mountain, Chazy area of upstate. I'd like to be in upstate New York. We were recently talking about, again, the Masonic Medical Research Institute, which is located in Utica, New York. So I would love to check that out, Nicole. I definitely feel like a soldier sometimes, although soldiers work a lot harder than I do. A metaphorical soldier, not a literal soldier, right? I don't want to. No stolen valor. Being a soldier is incredibly tough, and nothing but respect for them and for their work. My cat, we wonder what's happening. Yeah, my cat's used to it. I think my cat knows he's got a crazy, or she, I should say, has got a crazy owner. I mean, Mr. Robinson, when you say that, like, I suppose anything is possible by definition, but I find it unlikely. I think that in South America, what they were doing is melting stones to affix them to one another, because in many cases they have, discovered stones put together without the use of mortar, or put on top of one another, but there's no use of mortar. And I think the most likely explanation is they used acid to melt the stones together. Um, Hello, Owen. How's it going? Nicole, I'd love to check that out. That'd be really cool to discover and really cool to find. What's the name of it, Nicole? The mine in the ground. Hello, Owen. I appreciate that, Stephanie. Yeah, you kind of have to be resilient to do this type of stuff, right? So I'm much obliged. Do you know the name of the mine, Nicole? I mean, Lyon in France, right? Is where you're referring to? Yeah, well, I think, it's interesting when we talk about this, right? Like I've said before, Freemasons, they will talk about, stone masonry sometimes or operative masonry, but the examples they always use tend to be, for example, especially ancient Egypt, the Middle East, stories of King Solomon's Temple, and those are very important and very cool. But I don't think we should forget that, like, South American stonemasons were doing incredible work. Um, Middle East was doing incredible work. The Celtic, stonemasons were doing incredible work. And even our ancestors going back to the Neolithic and then before that, the Paleolithic, and even 3 million years ago, were doing incredible work. And I think sometimes we forget about that. So there is a lot of genuinely incredible work happening that we should be, throughout history, that we should be celebrating. Greetings from Greece, Bird. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for being here. Well, I've not been underwater. However, many of our greatest cultural heritage sites are underwater. Yesterday, August 21st, was the International Day for Underwater Heritage. Basically, basically cultural sites. They could be temples or stone columns or archaeological sites that have been underground. Obviously, the majority of those are stone and stonework because that's what can survive underground for long periods of time, as well as shipwrecks. I've said it a million times, Freemasonry is a story of stone and water. And so International Underwater Heritage Day, I think, celebrates both of those things, obviously stone and water. And so, yeah, I thought it was really cool. Like, I was looking, me looked this up before. Right, if you look up top 10 archaeological underwater discoveries, you find the sunken city of Pavlopetri, the Bronze Age shipwreck, Cleopatra's Palace in Alexandria, the lost Egyptian city of Heracleion, the Neolithic village, Al-Tiyam. Um, all of those are, basically preserved stone underwater, or preserved stone structures underwater. So, hello, Underground Thomas. It's been a while. Welcome back. I mean, Mr. Robinson, it could be that they did. They've just been lost to time, right? That is one thing to keep in mind. Or it could be that the knowledge was so ubiquitous they didn't see the need to do it, right? Like you're not thinking we're going to need to preserve this information for 2,000 years in the future. I think the assumption is everybody would know about it anyways because it's such a giant building project and giant building undertaking that everybody's already going to know anyways. I actually posted on my Twitter and my Instagram, or Twitter, I should say, some really cool videos exploring what the builders of the pyramids would eat in a typical day, and I thought that was really really cool, a really cool video. Um, how they got the calories they needed to build these massive structures. It's literally known as the Leon Mountain Mine Grounds, and there's also a book about it and all the desks that I have in my living room. Nice. What's the book called? Because I will look at potentially purchasing it. Again, I love celebrating our history as much as I possibly can. And when I say history of Freemasonry, I also mean history of stone masonry. at the same time. Hello, Jay Powers. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I would be much obliged. And I hope, as always, you are doing well. I look like a cartoon character. I feel like a cartoon character. Please hit like and subscribe. Consider a super chat, gift, any thoughts you have on Freemasonry. As always, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. There might actually be two Sphinxes. I mean, Mr. Robinson, anything's possible, but I feel like by now we would have found it. Um, Thank you, Clown Monarch. Am I a smart fella or a smart fella? I think I'm a smart fella, but I guess everybody will debate that. I know a lot of people who would say I am not such a smart fella. Thank you for that. Are you new to the stream, Clown Monarch? I don't recall your name. Keep in mind, I've been streaming for a while, so I might just be missing something. But thank you for that. As you know, when you do a super chat and when it's worth $2 or more Canadian, you get the text to speech.
At Clown Monarch 1 United States dollar and 99 cents. Are you a smart fella or a fart smella?
Oh, I didn't even catch it. Am I a smart fella or a fart smella? I am a smart fella. Though I have smelled farts in the past, particularly my own, it's never fun. Please hit like and subscribe. Dapper, well, thank you. Please hit like and subscribe. Clown Monarch, if you have any thoughts, questions, comments on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. And thank you for being here. You can follow me across multiple platforms, and half of the revenues I've been receiving, including from that super chat, are going to be going to the Masonic Medical Research Institute. Where in Winnipeg, Dad? I'd love to see that. My day is well. My day is long, but my day is well. Freemasonry is a civic club or a social club that has existed for over 300 years, and that evolved from stone Masonic guilds in the Middle Ages. Electric, if you want to find out, join. Yes, but I will be taking breaks as we go, right? I took a couple breaks already. I'll take a couple more. In some cases, I may put my camera just against the window and you guys can look at the beautiful river view. In some cases, I may switch platforms as well. I am grateful to see in this stream, not only has my, not only have I seen growth on this channel, subscribers, content, I've also seen growth across my other channels, Instagram, Medium, Facebook. I'm grateful for that as well because I'm monetized on those channels also. So what does it generally consist of? Well, that's an interesting question. What does it generally consist of, right? It's a club or an organization. So like any club or organization, no, we do not, Electric. It consists of gatherings and meetings, right? The purpose of any club ultimately is to spend time with other people. We have rituals and ceremonies, the purpose of which, again, is to support one another. Also, we have our rituals and ceremonies, which maintain traditions passed down from previous generations of Masons. When you say what does the support generally speak of, I mean, obviously there's just a support of friendship, but you can receive, there is a social safety net. So if you're struggling financially, you can approach the lodge and request assistance. If you need help moving, you can ask your brothers for assistance, things of that nature. Do you have potlucks? Sure, we have potlucks. Each lodge decides for itself, but I know many Masonic lodges have had potlucks and have had special events. And I think actually potlucks is a really cool thing to do. They've been on loan from a place in the States. They could be Greco-Roman. Very cool. I think, potlucks are actually a really fun thing that we as Freemasons can try to organize. They're relatively easy to set up, right? That's the benefit of them. Like, it also gives the Masonic, gives the junior warden a chance to relax a little bit. Mr. Robinson, did the Freemasons and Templars work with each other? The Templars came way before Freemasonry, right? The Templars stopped existing in 1308. The Freemasons didn't begin until at the earliest, like 1634. But certainly the Templars worked with stonemasons by definition, right? As did everybody. If you needed a fort, a temple, a building built, it was the Templars that you approached. Some of us do, Mr. Peaceful, some of us don't. Oh, Wayne is back once again. You get used to him. He needs to calm down a bit. Freemasonry is not demonic, nor is it a cult. So Wayne Dillon is wrong on both accounts. It's simply a club or a group. Think about it like the Elks or the Moose or the Rotary. Just significantly older. Well, when people refer to the Templars, normally what they're referring to is the Knights Templars, which is a chivalristic, I can't speak. Think about it like a ancient religious and militaristic order that existed from, I always forget when it was first formed, like the 11th century, say around 1150, something like that, to 1308. And it was formed with the purpose of helping pilgrims travel to and from the Holy Land, right? And so they were part of a religious order. They were also a military order. They were also kind of bankers. Internationally, they would take pilgrims back and forth and they would set up stops along the way, which eventually became trading outposts and eventually financial outposts. Um, Over time, they grew very powerful until eventually the King of France, probably because he owed them money that he couldn't pay back, became jealous of their power and ordered their execution. No, Freemasons are not Illuminati. If anything, it's somewhat the other way around. Freemasonry existed first, and then the Illuminati was formed by a gentleman named Adam Weishaupt, who was a former Freemason, who grew to dislike Freemasonry. And he left it and he started the Illuminati, and it hasn't really lasted in any significant way. It really hasn't been relevant for at least 100 years. That it hasn't really even existed for at least 100 years. But nonetheless, it was a order that came after Freemasonry. Does the infinite make you uneasy? No. I mean, I think the infinite, I think it'll always make people a little bit uneasy, I suppose. Just the idea of something you cannot grasp your head around or you cannot imagine, I think by definition that will always make people uneasy. But no, I never felt uneasy about it. I think it's more a mathematical idea than literally true. I am Electric Camel. Please like and subscribe. I am a 3rd degree Master Mason. I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite, but I am 3rd degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree in Freemasonry. It is not connected with the New World Order and it is not connected with satanic sacrifices. Well, no, not legitimately. I mean, again, as has been discussed before, right? Like the Templars nowadays is also referencing a Masonic order, right? Like within Freemasonry, you do have the Knights Templars. Basically, what happened is, and I believe I'm getting the dates correct, in 1737, a Freemason by the name of Chevalier Andrew Raymond made a speech in France in which he claimed that the Freemasons evolved from the Crusaders, which most people took to mean the Knights Templars. I think most people understood he was speaking of legend and not literal truth, but after that, you had the development of the York Rite and the Knights Templars were added to kind of the Masonic ceremonies for the York Rite. You know, we basically stole their symbols and their ideals because we liked the chivalry of it, we liked the history of it, we liked the idea of service, things of that nature. Um, and there's many Christian Freemasons, in fact. Freemasonry is not gay. There are gay Freemasons, of course. There are straight Freemasons and gay Freemasons, but Freemasonry is not gay or straight. And Freemasonry is not a religion, so you're wrong on both accounts. Um, well, thank you, Clon Monarch, and thank you for being here. And I do hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. I would very much appreciate it, and thank you for being here. All right, Tim, we're just going to have to get rid of you. We do not sacrifice anyone for Baal. We do not have anything to do with Baal. We do, sacrifice our time, but beyond that, no more sacrifices. Clown, believe me, you get used to it. You absolutely get used to it. If you're going to be streaming, you have to get used to people speaking nonsense, which is very annoying, but it is what it is. If I want to be on YouTube, I want to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession, then a big thing I need to do is, put up with nonsense. Sorry, Nicole, I don't think so. Name of the book. Did I miss something? Damned Sputnik? No. I did not have to kill any previous Masons to take over. It's not like we're not the Highlanders. There can be only one. I did not study astrology. I do enjoy astronomy. I don't see the name of the book. If you're just asking questions, but you think you already know the answers and you're not asking questions, you're trying to trick people. Because if I answer a question in a way you disagree with, you'll assume I'm lying, which defeats the whole purpose of asking questions in the first place. I don't draw a profile pic. Or are you talking about Wayne? Oh, I see what you're saying. Sorry, Nicole, I didn't see. What you can do also is leave the name of the book in a comment on one of my videos. It could be that, for whatever reason, YouTube is not letting the name of the book go through for some reason. I am not an alchemist. I don't believe alchemy is possible, for the record. George Washington and Simon Bolivar were both Freemasons. I don't think they were both part of the Freemason squad. They didn't live at the same time, right? I don't think they could have been part of the same quote-unquote Freemason squad. Or I guess, no, they would have lived at the same time. But George Washington would have been older. Simon Bolivar, according to Google, was born July 24th, 1783, died December 17th, 1830, and George Washington... Thank you for the W, Chronic, Carlos, and good morning to you. Died 1799, so there's no way they would have known each other. I was like, they couldn't have sat and lodged together. Having said that, once again, they were both Freemasons. Yes, Mr. Robinson, Freemasonry began in Scotland. Don't forget, Chronic, as you provide gifts to my channel, 50% of the revenues will go to the Masonic Medical Research Institute. No, we do not have free trials, but, Mr. Peaceful, we are very careful, and honestly, we're a lot better than we should have been. The free trial period, if you want to call it that for Freemasonry, is the application process before you join. So as you are looking to join Freemasonry, it's not as though immediately you just knock on the door on Monday, and then on Tuesday, suddenly you're a Freemason. It takes time. You get to know the lodge, they get to know you. You attend meetings and special events, coffee with them, things like that. That is your kind of, that is your free trial period where you get to know the guys and you learn more about them and learn more about Freemasonry before you actually complete the application and have your initiation. Um, Mort, believe me, I've taken a couple naps here and there. I'm going to take a couple more, I think, as we continue. But I am appreciative of everybody who's been here as part of these streams as we continue to celebrate and promote the Masonic Medical Research Institute and raise money for them. Thank you for the party hat, Chronic. Let's see if we can get to 69 party hats. I mean, it depends on a lot of factors, Mr. Robinson. So if somebody, let's say got into trouble when they were younger and has a criminal record from something that happened to them historically, but it's been several years, maybe decades, and they've turned their life around, it is possible to join Freemasonry with that record. You have to, when you're talking to the lodge, explain what happened, how it is that why you got the criminal record, also the steps you've taken to try to turn your life around and make better choices, and then the lodge decides. In some cases, if the crime was severe enough or significant enough, they may simply not be comfortable allowing you to join, but it depends on the nature of the crime, but also everything that you've done since. I always say don't do the work for the lodge. If you want to look at joining, if you want to look at joining Freemasonry and you have a criminal record, don't prejudge yourself. Approach the lodge, express your interest in joining, and see what happens. If you are already if you are already a Freemason and while being a Freemason you are committing crimes, that's a different story. And in that case, you would be suspended from Freemasonry. Now, you could reapply. You could explain what happened and reapply, but at the time you're going to be suspended, or you should be, because we as Freemasons should know better and should not be breaking the law. Yes, it's not called an annual fee, it's called dues. In almost every situation, we don't beg for anybody, Wayne. In almost every situation, you are paying yearly dues. They could be as little as $25 a year, as much as $250 a year. They can even be as high as $600 per year. It depends on where you're at and how expensive things are. If you're part of a lodge in Manhattan, New York, you're probably spending a lot more money than, say, if you're part of a lodge in Missouri, in rural Missouri, where things are a lot less expensive. I think Freemasonry is good, Mr. Day Mopping. You need to be more specific. I think Freemasonry makes the world a better place. I think Freemasonry makes communities better. And I think Freemasonry can make individuals better. I hated those white gloves so much. Ugh. So, we don't really see them anymore, thank heavens. But back in the day, in historical, society, one of the things that was very common is when you had, you were going out to fancy dinners or fancy dress and you're wearing a tuxedo, you would often wear white gloves with them. It was like an upper crust society thing. And Freemasonry and Freemasons decided, hey, we're going to borrow that and we're going to wear gloves when we have special events or celebrations, or when we have to wear tuxedos or like fancy dress events, like let's say a lodge is having a degree or something. And when I joined in 2007, it was really uncommon to wear them, but it was still a thing that would happen. And then we got this worshipful master who decided he wanted to be fancy pants. So he made us all wear the white gloves for degrees and for initiation and ceremonies. And I am in a wheelchair, and I can tell you, I hated those gloves because I couldn't grip my wheelchair to save my life, which meant I felt like I was always wheeling through sand because every time I tried to push the wheelchair, my hand would slip. So that was very annoying. On top of that, when I was doing the tool lecture, which if you guys ever seen it before, the tool lecture is you're holding different operative tools that have metaphorical meaning. I would always be dropping them because the gloves are slippery. I hated those white gloves. And thankfully, after him, I like the worshipful master. He's a really good dude. I miss him. I haven't seen him for a while, but I did not like those gloves at all. Somebody said, what would I get the benefit of joining Freemasonry? You know, so J Love, sometimes I'm sharing opinions and sometimes I'm sharing facts. Like Freemasonry, the Premier Grand Lodge of England formed July 24th, 1717. That's a fact. Freemasonry makes communities better. That's an opinion, although I think it's an opinion based on pretty significant facts. Um, Electric Camel asks, how would being a Freemason benefit me? I would need to know more about you and why you want to join. Like, certainly you will get access to more of a social safety net if you start to struggle financially. The lodge may be able to assist you. I've known 3 Masons who would have been homeless were it not for Freemasonry stepping in and providing them with benevolence. And not only would they have been homeless, but their family would have been homeless as well. On top of that, you develop certain skills and abilities you would not otherwise have. You'd become better at memorization, public speaking, in some ways, conflict resolution. Certainly, you become better at organizing and running meetings and special events. Like I've said before, if you want to be part of, let's say, a club or a group, so if you want to be, if your job requires you to organize meetings, set agendas, know how to make a motion, pass a motion, know about Robert's Rules of Orders, believe me, being a worshipful master or secretary will get you there. Um, but then other people, like one of the benefits I get from Freemasonry is it makes me feel closer to my grandfather. He passed away before I was born, but being a Mason makes me feel connected to him because he was a Mason, I'm a Mason. Even though I never met him, I do feel connected to him in some ways. But beyond that, I just like it, right? I mean, what benefit do you get from listening to your favorite song? You just like the song. And that's a good that's really hard to describe. It's just a good we know exists. But then all the evidence shows being a Freemason means you're healthier, you will live longer, you will have better emotional and physical health, for a variety of reasons. But all the evidence shows that. You can hire a Mason to build your home, of course, but I mean, you're thinking of an operative Mason, a craftsman. Freemasonry is a social club or a group. You should not hire me to build your home will fall down. But you should hire an operative Mason, absolutely. Wayne, you need to calm down. I'm going to put you in a timeout in a second. You keep saying the same things. You're wrong, and you're welcome to be wrong, but you can't always be wrong on my channel. There's got to be better things for you to do with your time. Absolutely. I'm disabled, right? I've said it a million times. Within Freemasonry, we need to make sure our entire Masonic experience is as accessible as possible. From the moment a member leaves his house to go to lodge to the time a member returns to his home. And I do think Masonic lodges have, in general, become fairly good at being, organized and ensuring that they are accessible. I watch both, but I prefer Star Trek. But Mr. Robinson, I'm not a big science fiction guy anymore. When I was growing up, I was, and I really loved. I really enjoyed Star Trek: The Next Generation. And I do think, personally, Captain Picard would actually make a really good Freemason, but that's neither here nor there. But I prefer, in my experience, scary movies. That's my bag. I mean, the memory burner, Freemasonry has been disliked by the Catholic Church for a long time and officially sanctioned for a long time. I think it's unfortunate. I think it shows a misunderstanding of what Freemasonry is. But all we can do is try to live our lives in a good manner, and hopefully people will reconsider. Daniel brings up a good point. But honestly, Daniel, I know the answer. I know what people would say about that and why people would say following Freemasonry is a sin. They're wrong because they don't understand it. But I suspect I know his answer. But I do know Orthodox Freemasons and I do know Christian Freemasons as well. So keep that in mind. And please take a moment, the memory burner, to hit the like button and the subscribe button. I'd be much obliged. Well, I don't know, Ahmed. What I know is both of them are insanely talented and incredible wrestlers. But if I had to guess, I would guess Randy. Or so I guess Cody Rhodes. At least that's who I'm cheering for. I love them both, and they're both incredible. They're both Hall of Famers, without a doubt. But I'm a big Cody Rhodes fan right now. I'll tell you this, I'm truly a big fan of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and that's what we need to be talking about. Talk about incredible professional wrestling on Canadian soil. Let's celebrate Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. No, lodges are everywhere. Not to get the conspiracy theorists something to talk about, but lodges are in big cities, small towns, and everywhere in between. Undertaker, also, I was going to say, future Hall of Famer, but I forgot he's in the Hall of Fame and well deserved. One of the greats. So some Masons may be pro-Zionist. Zionism is a political ideology. Some are pro-Zionism, some are anti-Zionism. I guess I would be a Zionist, right? I believe in a two-state solution, an Israeli state and a Palestinian state. So I don't know if that makes me a Zionist, but every Mason, will decide it for himself. But Freemasonry is not inherently Zionist. I know many Freemasons who are anti-Zionism. The Pope can say whatever he wants. The Pope is wrong. And I'm under no obligation to agree with the Pope. You might be if you're Catholic. I don't know. But even then, I know many Catholic Freemasons. So what about Brock Lesnar? Once again, one of the greats. Maybe if I were doing a Mount Rushmore of professional wrestlers, I might put Brock Lesnar on it. His work when he became, and he joined MMA and had so much success, I think that was incredibly important for Freemasonry. For Freemasonry, Jesus, for professional wrestling, because it showed and reminded people, no, actually, these guys are legit. So, yeah, I'm not Catholic. I can think the Pope is wrong. And I know many Catholics who think the Pope is wrong as well because they joined Freemasonry. I don't have a car, electric camel. You don't need to have a car to be a Freemason. There's a reason I'm always reminding us within Freemasonry that we need to be supporters of, amongst other things, supporters of public transit in our cities and communities. It's thanks to public transit I'm able to travel as much as I am, and I'm able to get around to as many different Masonic meetings and events as I am when I'm traveling. No, Mr. Robinson, you do not get to have many wives as a Freemason. I have no idea where that weird conspiracy theory or idea started. You're allowed to have as many wives as you're allowed in the country you live. So, if you're a Canadian Freemason, you are allowed to have one wife because there's no breaking of the law as a Freemason. You say we. You can say you can't say we, because I know many Freemasons who are Christian who would disagree with you quite strongly. Um, so the memory burner, what you're saying there is a complete misunderstanding of Freemasonry. No, we do not push that other groups worship the same God, the great architect. Rather, what we say is we cannot know which God you worship is not our concern, simply that you have a supreme being. So we will, if I'm meeting somebody in the elevator, if I want to know if they're a particular faith, I will say, do you believe in Jesus? Do you believe in Allah? Do you believe in God? If I just want to know if they believe in a supreme being of any sort, but I'm not concerned with the specifics, I'll ask them, do you believe in a supreme being of some sort? Oh, I'm tired, Super Mayo, but thank you for being here, as always. I'm mostly tired of thinking about eating mayonnaise and Oreos. What about John Cena? I know he's incredible. So far, the memory burner, I've never met a satanic Freemason. I don't think so, because to my knowledge, Satanists, their supreme being is themselves, which I don't think could qualify. Here's the story I'll give, right? I was at the Masonic Lodge once. I had somebody call me and say they wanted to join Freemasonry because they were a Satanist and they felt it'd be a good fit. When I met with them and talked to them about Freemasonry, they decided they did not want to join because they did not believe it would be compatible with their satanic beliefs. So you take that for whatever it's worth. Yeah, I was going to say that, Super Mayo. I've heard that joke before. Never his son, but I've heard that joke about, like, what did John Cena's wife say to him? What did John Cena's friend say to him? What did John Cena's dad say to him? It's always the same, right? Nothing, because he's never seen him. I've taken many breaks, and I'll take many more, Wayne. I promise you that. I'm going to put you in a timeout in a second, Wayne. We do not shower at the lodge. Some lodges, I do believe, have showers, but it's pretty rare because our lodges are not really places to, live. You shower at home and then go to the lodge. But I wouldn't doubt if some do. Like, I think they might have showers at the Detroit Masonic Temple, but that's because you have people there working, on shows and special events. There's not a chef. There is what's called a junior warden. The junior warden is responsible for creating and preparing the food for the lodge meetings and for the lodge events. And he changes every year. But I have suggested in the past, it would be really cool and really interesting to actually look at Masonic lodges hiring a chef to prepare meals at lodge events or at meetings. It costs money. You'd have to increase your dues. But I suspect members would be willing to pay a little bit more in dues if it meant they knew that when they went to the lodge, there'd be a good meal prepared for them by a professional chef. But it probably would not be that expensive, to be honest. I'm not going to be repenting anything. Corny, welcome. Thank you for being here. Well, Super Mario, you can watch because it is currently saved and it's on there. So I hope that you'll check it out. I hope you'll leave some comments. I'm grateful that you guys are always here. It's incredibly helpful. But don't forget to also check out my past episodes and leave comments. That helps a lot as well. Patreon, etc., etc., Facebook. Believe me, all that stuff helps out big time. Super Mayo, I don't know if you follow me on Facebook, but I hope you will consider doing so. I'm also monetized on Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, Medium, etc., etc. Um, being a paid Mason is always more fun. Getting paid is always more fun. Um, Ethics over faith. I'll not believe it. I mean, what I will say is some people who believe in a higher power will say it's based on evidence. Others will say it's based on faith, which is evidence of things not seen. I mean, within Freemasonry, we are just, as always, taught to first and foremost focus on, um, respecting everyone's right to their religious beliefs. I mean, it depends. Like Mr. Robinson, when you say the lodge, going to need a little bit more specifics. Every Masonic lodge has a different schedule. Not every Masonic lodge holds open houses, though many do. And many will provide you with a tour if you call them and ask them about touring the building. So you can check that out as well. I'm really grateful for the times I've taken people on tours of the Masonic building. In Windsor and the open houses that we've done. That stuff is incredibly important. Speaking of religious tolerance, Saturday, today, is the International Day for Victims of Violence Based on Religion or Belief. I think Freemasonry demonstrates to the world that it is possible to be tolerant of different religions and different religious beliefs. Maybe not according to the memory burner, but for the rest of us. So, and that is something I'm grateful for, is the emphasis that we in Freemasonry place on religious tolerance. Ethics, there's no evidence that meets the claims. I mean, again, define evidence, right? I'm not going to get overly invested in it one or the other. I'm going to say I respect everybody and their different faiths, so long as they're good people and treat each other well. That's what matters. English. There are lodges that speak French, obviously in Quebec and France. I've been to lodges that speak different languages, never French, but Spanish. I've had the chance to hear Masonic ritual in Spanish and Portuguese, and I love it. I think it's incredible. Mayo, where are you from again? I'm trying to think what number 42 is, because the numbers will depend on um, like 42 is a low number, which means it's a relatively older lodge. Um, Hello, Jeff. Thank you for being here. A dictator? Welcome. Thank you for being Los Angeles. Okay, I think I've been to lodge number 42 in Los Angeles. In Santa Monica, if I recall correctly. So, a dictator. Freemasonry is a civic group or a social club that has existed for over 300 years, that evolved from stonemasonry guilds in the Middle Ages in in Scotland and England, and eventually expanded to the rest of the world. So it didn't start with American settlers, but it certainly traveled with them, including Lewis and Clark, for example. As they were traveling and settling more and more in the west of the United States, Freemasonry followed them. Um, it is not Christian, it is not religious. Certainly, there is religious kind of tones and symbolism that get folded into Freemasonry, but it is not in and of itself a religion. Um, Nor, Christian. We have Christian and Jewish and Muslim and Hindu and Sikh members. Jeff, I can try to give you some advice. I can't make any promises. Well, we are not the mafia. In fact, one of the rules in Freemasonry is you need to be compliant with and following the laws of the country in which you live. So, Yeah, I think I went there. I'm like Los Angeles Lodge number 42 sounds really familiar. Hold on just one second. Where in Los Angeles is it located? It is in Santa Monica. I was there. Yeah, 926 Santa Monica Boulevard. I was there a couple different times. It's a really beautiful building. And it's really cool masons. So, I mean, I can't imagine they'll remember me. I was there in like 19 or 19, geez, no. I was there in 2021, I think. So it's been 4 or 5 years. I mean, some of them might remember me. It'd be cool if they did. But yes, so I did go there. That's really cool. Small world, Super Mayo. And I loved being in Santa Monica. I loved being in Los Angeles. I thought it was incredible. They're not going to check your salary. I'm one of the few people, Mr. Robinson. I've actually argued in the past that we in Freemasonry should actually be holding, credit checks to make sure people are financially solvent if they're interested in joining. Um, because we do have dues and things like that. But so there are gender restrictions. Freemasonry is a fraternal organization, um, which means, to join quote unquote regular Freemasonry, you have to be a man. However, there is Order of the Eastern Star. There is also Order of Women Freemasons, both of which are for women. And then there's Rainbow, which is for young women, girls, basically ages 9 to 11. Um, and there's also Co-Masonry, although that is primarily located in France. Um, so when you say what are the tenants' beliefs, I mean, no two Freemasons will have the same beliefs, right? Because Freemasons can be of a variety of different religious beliefs, political beliefs. There's no discussion of religion or politics in lodge. But within that context, what I would say is the genuine belief of Freemasonry is that it's worth spending time with other people. Within that context, I'd also say you could argue, um, that maybe one of the beliefs of Freemasonry is brotherly love, relief, and truth, as well. Well, I mean, if you got the invitation, why not just go and check out the building, right? It's really fun and it's really cool to see the guys and to check it out. And, you don't have to join, but it's an experience to check it out and learn more about it. And that could be really fun. So, Mr. Robinson, I never give any specifics about Masonic rituals and ceremonies because I don't want to ruin the experience for anybody or create, spoilers. Um, what I will say, and I've always said this, is there's nothing in a Masonic ritual that is illegal, immoral, or against one's civic, religious, or moral responsibilities, or is unsafe. And everything has a purpose behind it. When it comes to being blindfolded, if that happens or if it doesn't, I'll neither confirm nor deny, but there might be a symbolic reason for such things. And everybody who's a Mason goes through the initiation, so therefore it creates bonds of brotherhood between people. But yeah, that's really cool, Super Mayo Man, to actually learn that you're going to Los Angeles Lodge number 42 in Santa Monica. Again, as somebody who visited it, when did I visit it? Let me see if I can find the dates. Um, and a brother from there has actually been on my podcast on a couple of occasions, Laurent. So, not going to have any spoilers, Carrie. It's going to ruin it for people if they're trying to join. Because the problem is you end up having this situation where you are joining the lodge with expectation, which is not the right approach to take. You should not join a lodge expecting anything, because you should just want to experience Freemasonry, right? One of the worst things that can happen is you've researched the ceremonies and the rituals, and so instead of experiencing the initiation and the ceremonies, you're constantly in your own mind expecting certain things to happen. And what happens next, that type of thing. I do watch live sports sometimes. I mean, I don't recognize the name Michael, but obviously let's not mention any names in here, any full names, anyways. Um, but I mean, I appreciate the shout out, Super Mayo. That's very kind of you. I'm just trying to figure out if I can. When I was there in when I was there in Los Angeles, actually, Super Mayo Man, if I could make a suggestion, um, see if you can check out the Village Studios in Los Angeles. It's located at um, it is located. Dun, 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 if I could find the address, 1616 Butler Avenue. It is a world-class recording studio that is located within a 1920s era Masonic temple. And they do tours and stuff, and it's really cool to check it out. Obviously, now it's a recording studio, but the fact that it wasn't a Masonic temple is really cool. And I got to take a tour of it a few years ago. I'm trying to find the date I was in Los Angeles. I'm really curious. Mr. Robinson, sorry, you're on your own. Okay, well, that's good of you, Mayo, to check. Um, Maybe November of 2021. Let's see if I can do it this way. Oh, here it is. I was there, yeah, November 2021. I got to see a double second degree there. So that is really, really cool. Um, so enjoy it. Some people might join. Um, I mean, you'd have to define spiritual, right? Like, I don't think of Freemasonry in a spiritual context, certainly not literally in a spiritual context. Some could argue, and some have in the past, right, that, Freemasonry is spiritual in the same way like listening to your favorite song is spiritual. Or, yeah, but it feels like a long time ago, but that's probably because I've lived a very, very busy life. Or listening to, like, watching sports is spiritual, or like there's a million different ways that people can view things as being spiritual. If you mean spiritual in a religious sense, I'm not one who I'm not a fan of the spiritual component or anything like that, but I do think some people do find spiritualism in Freemasonry. We got hearts. It might be Smokey the Clown. Welcome. I mean, a dictator, I should say, they're kind of meant to do both. Like, certainly, I think the purpose of our Masonic rituals, first and foremost, is to create bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences, right? We all go through the same ritual, we all go through the same ceremonies. But within that context, I mean, without question, there is an element of education that comes with it. There's different ways that people learn. Some learn through auditory, some learn visually, some learn by doing. Our Masonic rituals provide learning in all three categories. By performing a ritual or taking part in a ritual, not only do you listen to what people are saying and, see what people are doing, but in some ways you participate in certain ways by mimicking movements and copying examples. And that helps you learn kind of some of these lessons of and from Freemasonry. Certainly the ethical components therein. Um, John, if there is one, then it would be ceremonial, but I will neither confirm nor deny. Nothing shady in Freemasonry. Freemasons as human beings can be shady because Freemasons are human beings and we don't always, we always, or we have this tendency to fall short of what we want to be. Unfortunately, it's just kind of the nature of being human, for better or worse. But I think if you follow the ethics of Freemasonry, um, is what I'd say about, Freemasonry is if you follow the ethics of it, you will be a good person. I mean, don't worry, Super Mayo. I'm used to this type of stuff. I'll be taking another break soon. Probably going to take one more break. I may go on to my other channel, do a live stream of the Detroit River because those are really fun to watch and people like the river, and then take a break for an hour and a bit and then come back on to finish it off. I may have two more breaks. Well, I mean, yeah, ritual. So to me, again, at its core, I've actually written about this before. I don't know if I don't know if you've, for example, read any of my stuff on Medium, but I've written about, I think, the benefits that ritual provided to early humans as a way to better understand themselves. Within that context, though, I think certainly ritual it provides a valuable learning experience. Again, there are people who learn better through doing, there are people who learn better through listening, and there are people who learn better through seeing. And Masonic rituals provide all three ways of learning or learning types. But I think mostly for me, I always go back to the most basic level. Ritual, the purpose of it is to create bonds through shared experiences. Um, John, you can try to make me smile. Well, thank you, a dictator. And I hope you'll hit like. I hope you'll hit subscribe. And more importantly, I hope that you will consider, super chats, Patreon, all the things you can do, because not only would you be supporting me, you would be supporting the Masonic Medical Research Institute. Johnny Leach says, seething powers of Lucifer spiritual. No, Freemasonry has nothing to do with Lucifer, despite what your friend and mine, Albert Pike, may say. A dictator, I am not smart enough to understand what you just said there. I like Veritasium. Largely disposed the whole modal learning compatibility thing. Do you mean the idea that different people learn better with different ways? Um, I know Freed. Some people believe Jesus was Lucifer. You'd have to talk to a religious expert about that. So was what Veritasium decided or found that everybody learns the same way successfully? That seems doubtful somewhat to me. But I'll look at his video. I mean, what I'd say is even if it turns out not to be true, certainly people when they were developing the rituals believed it to be true. This is in the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries. And it sounds unlikely to me that it would be false. I mean, it just seems based on my personal experiences that within, the world at large, there are different types of and ways to learn. Um, so, a dictator, do you search for things about Freemasonry online? Like, do you know, do you have like searches about Freemasonry? Thank you, by the way, to YouTube for sending you my way. I much appreciate it. But what was how'd you come across the stream? Do you have like Masonic searches in your history? Yeah, I'll look it up though. I'm curious. I mean, I do enjoy the Veritasium videos. I really like one about measuring the speed of light and how it's impossible to measure the speed of light in one direction. You have to do a round trip. I would doubt that, Freed. I'm not even sure really what that means. But I don't think we're guarding the divine feminine or the divine masculine. I think to the extent that we guard anything, it's civic institutions and civic society. Okay, well, to the YouTube, the little robots hanging out at the YouTube algorithm. However, it is that you brought a dictator to me, much obliged. And that's true for everybody on this stream. Thank you all for being here. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think of Freemasonry. Super chat, comment, Patreon, Facebook, all the things one says as we support the Masonic Medical Research Institute. I look at it sometimes. I'll check it out, John Michael. I mean, I really want to visit Sydney. I mean, I love to travel. I've said this a million times. My favorite place in the world is not here. Meaning, when I'm in Windsor, I want to be in Chicago. When I'm in Chicago, I want to be in Toronto. When I'm in Toronto, I want to be in South Africa. Like, my favorite place to be, and I mean this genuinely, is on a bus, on a plane, or a train going from point A to point B. That is something I genuinely love. Um, I could be gay or straight, closeted or not. It would not make a difference when it comes to joining Freemasonry. Um, and welcome. I do not know who that is. The Coit. I do not know who that is. I would like to hope my soul is okay. Um, I don't think anybody. I mean, from a religious perspective, if I recall correctly, nobody can. Nobody can take one's soul because it doesn't belong to anybody other than the supreme being. Australia is the best. Don't worry, a dictator. If you're going to be on YouTube and you're going to be trying to be a content creator and do this for a living, you absolutely get used to, amongst other things, a whole bunch of crazy people on YouTube talking a bunch of nonsense about you. I've grown to accept it. It just kind of is what it is. It's part of my life now. Maybe I am crazy for wanting to be on YouTube, if nothing else, for the record. But thank you for being here. I feel like if I Google it, my computer is going to get a virus of some sort. Whenever people are telling me to Google random things on the YouTubes, I always get a little bit disconcerted. Hello, Adrian Williams from New Zealand. I'm doing well. It's what, evening for you, right? It's 8 in the morning for me. Please hit like and subscribe. I would be grateful. I feel like you've been here before, Adrian. That sounds very familiar to me. By all means, I appreciate that, a dictator. I mean, Keg, I believe you, but I also am not sure what I'm searching for. Get a virus from Googling something. X, I don't know. I'm just saying, a whole bunch of people always coming on here telling me to Google random stuff. I'm always convinced I'm going to Google something randomly, and then next thing I know, the FBI is knocking at my door because I've opened some dark web page or something of which I was did not expect. Okay, well, welcome back, Adrian. XM, I'm not a tech person. Okay, I'm gonna Google this. If I suddenly get a bunch of warnings on my computer about something, I'm blaming you, Keg. So if I'm gonna do this, the very least you could do is hit the like and the subscribe button. Okay, I don't even know what it is. It's some type of commercial, or not commercial, cartoon. Actually, a commercial did pop up. It's some type of cartoon thing. A major character and antagonist turned anti-hero from the visual novel game Danganronpa Volume 3, Killing Harmony. Freemasonry is all about harmony. My lodge is called Harmony Lodge, so let's not do that. Much obliged, a dictator. Yes, I'm not doing that because I don't know what that means, but I'm not Google image searching blue waffle. We all learned how careful we need to be after the early 2000s two girls, one cup fiasco, and nobody searched that. Believe me, you don't want to search that. No, I'm not Googling that as well. Well, so Scientology, I mean, I don't know a lot about Scientology, right? To my knowledge, Scientology is a religion. Freemasonry is not. I have no problem with the Scientologists joining Freemasonry, but they're not the same thing, and it's not something I know much about. So, well, I appreciate that. I mean, my paranoia. I try not to be paranoid, but on the YouTubes, you got to be careful. And once again, everybody who so the biggest myth in education. I'll look it up. Everybody who, like I said, if you're supporting this channel financially, you will, amongst other things, um, 50% of that support funding will go to the Masonic Medical Research Institute. I mean, I'm a Freemason. I maintain the private elements of some of our rituals. Freemasonry does not worship things, and I do not know about this Gothic business. I mean, when was the Gothic era, for the record? I'm kind of curious now. Hold on just one second. I think the Gothic era would coincide with Freemasonry. Gothic, actually, no. Gothic was 1140 to 1500. Freemasonry didn't start until 1634. But certainly from a stonemason perspective, Gothic work within stonemasonry. Um, and Mr. Jackson, welcome back once again. And thank you everybody who has joined us so far. I truly, truly appreciate it. I'm grateful that we are moving closer and closer to 5,000 subs, currently at 4,624. So we're getting there. I mean, I think you're talking about the tracing boards, XY. I mean, I would love a good solid Aussie steak with chips. Everything is meant to convey a message and a symbol, and it goes back to tradition. So, for example, Freemasonry evolved from stonemasonry. Architecture and architectural orders are incredibly important within stonemasonry. So, we have tracing boards that include on them architectural symbols, like the different pillars, things like that. So, we have those things for sure. But it's funny, like when you're not a Freemason and you're not part of it and you don't know, um, like it's very easy at that point to view them as trippy or weird. But once you are a Freemason, it all makes sense. That's like anything else in life. When you're on the outside looking in, it's sometimes it's hard to know what you're looking at precisely. And that's another thing about Freemasonry. One of the ways I maintain my bonds of brotherhood with my brethren is we know what those symbols mean. You know, they're not trippy to us. They're part of our Masonic journey. Yes, we totally summon rocks from other dimensions. Yes, Mr. Jackson, and I have. I have traveled to South Africa, the Philippines, Rio, um, Bogota, Colombia, all throughout the United States, England and Scotland, and everywhere I went, I've made friends. And I've been very lucky and grateful to make those friends as well. And that is one of the truly greatest things about Freemasonry. Um, I don't drink, John Michael. I don't drink beer, so I would not be able to enjoy the Aussie beer, but I would be able to enjoy the food. I'm sure it would be absolutely delicious and a blast. So thank you for the invitation. I'd love to get to Australia, but Australia is so expensive to get to and so far. It's like a forever flight. You're basically as far as you can be. You're at the end, was a joke I heard a comedian say once, and I really liked it. You're basically at the end. I mean, primarily, there, you know, whatever, like Freemasonry will always reflect the, like Freemasonry will always reflect, I shouldn't say always, but usually reflects the demographics of the country and community which is located. So if your Masonic Lodge is located in a community that is 60% white, 30% black, 10%, indigenous, then your lodge will be that as well. If you're in a community where it's majority Filipino, your lodge may be that as well. Although you can have ethnic groups that really, take well, or Freemasonry is very popular. For example, in some North American lodges, it's almost exclusively made up of Filipino members because Freemasonry is very popular in the Philippines and with Filipino families. Um, I really loved being in Manila. The Masons there were incredible. The food poisoning I experienced was not, but we'll put that aside for the moment. Um, well, we do have mixed gender lodges. They're called co-Masonic lodges or Eastern Star, which is for both men and women. Um, but like I will say, usually co-Masonic lodges are not recognized by a lot of places. It's very popular though in France at the moment. But I do personally support the idea of keeping your male and female Masonic lodges separated as a general rule, because I do think there's a necessity for men and women to have like, a space for men to meet, like a very formalized guys' night out, and a place for women to meet, like a girls' night out. And sometimes you want to make that more formalized. Hey, I don't disagree with you. Long live France, indeed. I mean, I don't know what the number is, Mr. Jackson. I, as always, pick very specific kind of ideas. I won't talk about the modes of recognition, and I won't talk about anything that could ruin the experience of going through the degree for the first time. Um, yeah, Order of Eastern Star has been around since 1850, if I recall correctly. I could double check that, but I believe that's the date it started. It's a wonderful part of the Masonic family, without a doubt. Yeah, whenever people like overly talk about Freemasonry and make it out to be this big crazy thing, I always tell people it's just a guy's night out. It's just a really formalized version of a guy's night out. So the highest degree in Freemasonry, I've mentioned this before, is the third degree. The highest rank, there's not really ranks in Freemasonry. Maybe most worshipful, there's offices. The highest office in Freemasonry the um, is the Grand Master in a particular jurisdiction. But the most important thing to remember is Freemasonry is not centralized, meaning there is no single person who controls Freemasonry globally. Um, right? So, for example, the highest ranking Grand Master in Ontario is responsible for Freemasonry in Ontario. He's not responsible or controls Freemasonry outside of it. So my dad was not a Grand Master. My dad was a master, and my dad was a very worshipful, which is a type of rank or designation. Basically, it means it's almost an honorary title. Um, so I don't follow soccer, or football if you prefer. I did follow it a little bit during the World Cup just because everybody else was, but it's not something I know much about. I mean, that's an interesting question, airline pilot. I think they both make the world a better place, but like masonry or operative masonry or stone masonry, I mean, it's not, I mean, it's a profession. So the goal isn't necessarily to make the world a better place. The goal is to earn a living and support yourself and your family and, produce good work made of stone, which does by definition result in a better world. But it's a profession, right? Freemasonry is a speculative or a social club. So it's a little bit different in that, the goals are somewhat different, but in both cases, it's making the world a better place. Within Freemasonry, it's making the world a better place through its strengthening of the safety net, support for the health and well being of the brothers and the community, charitable endeavors, reducing the vulnerabilities in a community that criminals can prey upon, preservation of historical documents and traditions, in just some of the ways it makes the world a better place for everybody. So, Mr. Jackson, I mean, so like I accused makes it sound like it was always false. So certainly Masons have committed crimes in the past. Um, and to the extent that they were guilty of those crimes, they should have gone to jail because Freemasons are human beings, which means despite our best efforts, some Masons are going to make mistakes, mess up, fall short, or they could just potentially be bad dudes. And, because they're bad dudes, they end up, tricking Freemasons and basically they join us. We don't realize what they are. But if they do commit crimes and after joining Freemasonry, they should be suspended and removed from the craft. Now, many people, though, have accused Masonry as an order of committing crimes, and that's not true, right? Freemasonry itself is just a social club. So, like the Leo Taxil hoax, the Nazis, a lot of different groups historically have accused Freemasonry of being some type of, evil, despotic organization or conspiracies or whatever it is, and that's just not the case, right? Freemasonry as an institution or an organization is for the good. But individual Freemasons are like anybody else. They can be good or they can be bad. Andrew Tate was not a Freemason and is not a Freemason. At least not to my knowledge. I've never seen any evidence that he is. A dictator, I have no idea what any of that means. When people talk about a Mason Bible, um, you know, um, um, when people talk about the Masonic Bible, it's really a King James version of the Bible, but it has a square and compass on the cover, on the front of it, and has a section in the front for Masons to sign it if they've been to one's initiation, passing, or raising. But it's not you know, it's not a special Bible with a different kind of wording on it, and it's used as a volume of the sacred law for a member if he happens to be Christian and wants it to be used. Um, he should be airline pilot. Of course, first of all, we need to know he's a criminal. If he's really, really good at hiding his actions, and he's never caught, then I guess we would never know. But yes, if he's a criminal, and if he's found guilty, he should be suspended from Freemasonry. I know Freemasons are going to try to protect him, nor should they. So, I mean, I wouldn't use the term perks. Like, there's, without a question, there's benefits to being a Freemason. There's benefits to being part of a social club or a group, right? You'll be healthier. You will have a stronger social safety net. So if you fall in hard times, you can approach the lodge and ask about benevolence. You will feel less isolated. You will have a better opportunity to achieve Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, there's so many different types of benefits you can achieve through being a Freemason. Not exclusively, you can get benefits other ways as well, but Freemasonry is one of them. You get the meals after lodge meetings, which can be quite nice. Um, and a lot of people, like for me, a perk or benefit I get being a Freemason is it makes me feel closer to my grandfather who passed away before I was born. Um, so I do feel closer to him, more connected to him. I mean, it's going to stay the same, Mr. Jackson. Freemasonry will not make you rich, will not make you famous. Anybody who tells you that it will, you're going to be very disappointed. Now, look, you can potentially get some benefits when it comes to Freemasonry as it relates to networking. And maybe you'll get to meet some people who can let you know about different jobs that are available, but you're not going to get a job just because you're a Freemason. And the extent to which, again, even as a businessman, maybe you'll get more leads, maybe you'll get more opportunities to show off your business to other people. But if you're joining Freemasonry for that reason, you're probably going to be disappointed because Freemasonry doesn't have the numbers it used to kind of justify it as a networking. Oh, there are many Muslim Freemasons, Kyrie, and there's Jewish Freemasons and Hindu Freemasons and Catholic and Orthodox Freemasons and everything in between. Well, so Freemasonry makes no claims as to the end of the world. So the idea of what I believe in the end of the world because I'm a Freemason, it's not a Masonic teaching. Some Masons are Christians and would believe in the end of the world in, a Christian context. Others may have other religious beliefs and may believe in the end of the world. I mean, as someone who believes in rationality, I certainly think the planet will eventually end when it is swallowed by the sun. And, I also think the universe will eventually enter into heat death, but not for several more billion years. So I think we'll be okay for the time being. Well, the idea of the safety net, Mr. Jackson. So, the more people the more opportunities you have to kind of have a net to catch you. Obviously, financially, if you, let's say, lose your job or are struggling financially, can't pay your rent. I've known Freemasons who would be homeless were it not for Freemasonry stepping in and providing them with rent or mortgage payments to help cover the cost. Now, it can't do that forever, right? I don't think any lodge could just float a brother forever, but certainly they can help provide them with funding when they need it to get through rough patches without needing to go to, let's say, government resources. But beyond that, like, you get divorced, let's say, and you can't stay in your house anymore, your wife gets it, or your wife asks you to leave, you've got brothers that you can go to stay in their homes. Or you're having a hard time, there's people you can contact to ask for assistance, right? I think we in Freemasonry could do more to create a stronger safety net, like making sure we have information about resources in our communities. But the social safety net is not a single thing, right? It's not the government, it's not the churches, it's not your neighbors, it's everything. The social safety net is the government giving you welfare. It's also your neighbor baking you a cake and making you dinner and bringing you food. It's also your church holding a potluck dinner and inviting the community. And it's also your Masonic lodge or body giving you benevolence or assistance when you need it. Maz, good for you. You are welcome here. What do you mean by genuine trying to help you? Like, yeah, I mean, if Freemason, we're brothers, so it's genuine, the effort to help. I know we're going strong, but I'm still going. I encourage Masons to work out. Um, we got the emojis. Thank you. I am not a Wahlberg. I wish I was. I'd have more money. Like, I think Freemasonry, I think one of the ethics of Freemasonry is that we should take care of ourselves, right? Does Google say that? Well, I will say, I mean, there is such a thing as the Freemason 15 because, especially if you have a good junior warden who's a good cook or brings in good food, you're going to eat more. I think one of the ethics of Freemasonry, one of the most important things within Freemasonry is the idea that we have a responsibility to take care of ourselves physically and mentally so we can better contribute to the world around us. And that includes being physically healthy. Thank you, a dictator. Believe me, you get used to people talking nonsense about you. Um, DA, you get used to it. Don't worry about it, Mr. Jackson. You can make a joke as long as it's not racist or sexist or going to get you banned, but you can try your best. Um, so, when you say, do they genuinely want to help? I mean, Freemasonry, like, you don't join Freemasonry necessarily because you genuinely are trying to help people. You join Freemasonry because it speaks to you and it seems to be something you enjoy. But within that context, certainly your brothers will try to help you as much as they can, and if they can. Well, I mean, you're taking a risk, Old Glory, so you got to decide for yourself. I mean, I dictate. I don't want to take it too seriously. Believe me, you get used to it. It's one of those things you definitely get used to people talking nonsense on social media. I have been told I am very ugly so many times while streaming. Believe me, you get used to it. I mean, I always like one thing, I always say within Freemasonry, one of the things we are taught about is that it is the internal and not the external qualifications of man that matters. Meaning, the most important thing is what we are like on the inside, not how we look. Are we good and honorable? And that is something that Freemasonry teaches us. A lot of our the ethics of Freemasonry. A lot of our installations remind us of that very important and very valuable idea. Um, I'll take it, Old Glory. That's not going to get you banned. I don't mind you making fun of me. It's when you make fun of other people. And once again, maybe my teeth have a big gap in them, but it is the internal and not external qualifications of man that matters. Um, Steve Harvey was a very talented fella, so if I got the Steve Harvey gap, I'll take it. Nah, Mr. Jackson, we'll leave it be. I'm not going to knock that one. My usual rule is don't make fun of other people on the stream. You can make fun of me, it's okay. Um, and if you repeat the same nonsense about Freemasonry over and over again, that'll get you banned as well. But um, I'm not bald. Look at all this hair. What are you talking about? And once again, it is the internal and not the external qualifications that matter. As we continue to hang out and chat about Freemasonry, don't forget 50% of all the funds raised on this stream or on these streams will go to the Masonic Medical Research Institute, where we will be, as I've said before, we are going to be talking about and celebrating the work that they do when it comes to, amongst other things, research related to heart disease, cardiovascular disease, autoimmune disease, neurocognitive conditions, autism, lupus, heart disease, PTSD. They're doing incredible work, and I really love celebrating it. You can find my earlier streams where I interview people from the MMRI, the Masonic Medical Research Institute, from earlier, I guess yesterday. Old Glory, what degree am I? At least you asked degree and not rank or level. I'm a third degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree in Freemasonry. I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite. My office is currently Worshipful Master of Border Cities Lodge, number 554. Top 10? I mean, so I can give you what I think they are based on my 20 years as a Freemason and my engagement and involvement. Other Masons may find different ethics within it. The beautiful thing about Freemasonry, it's common purpose, common understanding, different, different interpretations, and that's the really cool thing about it. But for me, I would say the number one top ethic within Freemasonry is tolerance. Tolerance for different religions, different ethnicities, different races, different politics. It's tolerance. I would say after that, it's universality, it's brotherly love, it's relief, it's truth, it's charity, it's prudence, it's temperance, it's fortitude, and it's justice. And I think we're all set there. You look so human. I think I'm human. Mr. Peaceful, that's a good question. So, no one owns the lodges. And this is an important kind of distinction that people need to make sometimes. Um, the lodges are the group of people. So, it's not owned by any one person, it's just a group, right? It's like a team. But where the lodges meet, which is called our Masonic buildings, Masonic halls, Masonic temples, those are owned by different groups. Now, in some cases, it's owned by the Masons who meet there themselves. It's owned as like a co-op or a cooperative. And we do see that very often. Sometimes they'll just rent out space in a private, building, in which case it's owned by the landlord. Everybody in the lodge pays dues. Those dues are given to the treasurer, the secretary, and put into the account of the lodge. And then it's meant to cover the costs of electricity, property taxes if you own your building, refreshments, things of that nature. Um, I mean, Freemasonry will sound kind of like whatever you want it to sound like, right? Addictive. So, a lot of people will say that Freemasonry trends right or conservative because um, so much of its focus is on tradition and history and things of that nature, and the fact that it is a fraternity. Other people will say it trends leftward because of its emphasis on everybody paying in for the common good. Um, so some will say it's left leaning because of its emphasis on democracy over, let's say, dictatorship or divine rights. So everybody kind of will find a different political slant to put to it. It doesn't fit well into any real political slants, though. You need to be really careful about that. Um, I mean, Mr. Peaceful, do you have a building? And confessional faith, I think his capitalism is great as well. I like capitalism too. I think everything, it's about a balance, right? Moderation or temperance. I mean, I don't know how I would start it necessarily, Mr. Jackson, because Freemasonry is different than, say, a men's group at a church, right? Freemasonry is not a religion. So if a church wanted to start a men's group, to what extent would that be based on religious affiliation? I think that would be the challenge and would be tough to figure out. Um, Old Glory, I mean, there is no single Masonic belief or core belief. Every Mason will have his own beliefs on like what it is within Freemasonry. One of the things I very often see when I'm talking about or discussing Freemasonry with people who are Masons themselves is I'll ask them, what does Freemasonry mean to you? What do the rituals and ceremonies mean to you? Right? I think that's really important to ask everybody. But I do believe, personally, I've said this before, if there is a core belief in Freemasonry, ultimately, it's the belief that it's worth spending time with other people, and it's worth spending time with other people regardless of their religious or political or ethnic, or age or whatever else it is, right? Well, I mean, if it's not based on religion, then what I would say is I would try to emphasize the social and security safety net of being part of a group as a way to start it, because I think that's what people are going to be looking for more and more. As society continues to struggle with a lot of things, we need to figure out, okay, people are looking for support, they're struggling to find support. What can we do to help them get that support? So join this club, join this group. We'll all pull our resources together. And then if you find yourself in hard times, we can get some benevolence or some assistance. Freemasonry is not Zionist. Whether I'm a Muppet or not, I'll let you decide um, for yourself. DA, I mean, I guess everybody will have to decide that for themselves. I'm not everybody has different views, and I'm a member of a lodge in Israel, but Israel as a state, right, that is a political question. Every Mason will have his own views on that. Sarah, this channel is about Freemasonry and promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as sharing stories of Masonic interest, as well as turning my passion into a profession. Sarah, you can help me out by hitting the like button and subscribe button. I'd be much obliged. And once again, any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. And please hit like and subscribe. We've done Masonic meetings outside, Mr. Peaceful. We maintain privacy and secrets for the same reason you would keep your family recipe a secret, to maintain the bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences, right? Your family recipe that you don't share with others, maintaining it within the family means you maintain, your bonds with the past, present, and future members of your family. Freemasonry is the same thing. Our ability to do good, to help others, and to have strong fraternal ties is forged through shared experiences and shared knowledge. Freemasonry and our Masonic rituals and ceremonies, maintaining the privacy of them helps us do so. Nope, they're not criminal secrets. And like everything else in life, right? You have secrets, I'm sure, that friends have asked you to keep. We have the right to our privacy and our personal relationships without automatically assuming anything negative about them. Jay, I mean, you think you know what we do, presumably because you're leading a very bad life and you're looking for kind of conspiracies to engage with, but nope. Whatever you think we're doing, I can promise you we're not. Oh, I always highly question that. How do I know, Jay? And why should I believe you? Right? If you're not going to trust or believe me, why should I trust or believe you? Skull and Bones is not Masonic. Skull and Bones is a fraternity out of Yale. For the record. Yes, Gooey McDonald. Gooey. By the way, thank you all for being here. Please, once again, if you're not done so, take a moment to hit like and hit subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. I'm grateful to see this channel growing. We are getting closer and closer to 5,000 subs. So, well, people choose to keep the family. You don't need it to be secret. People choose to keep it secret. The benefit of maintaining the secrecy is, as we discussed previously, it's a way to maintain the bonds of the family. If just you and your brothers and sisters and parents know your great grandmother's cookie recipe and no one else does it, it's like a shared thing that you have within your family that can help you feel connected to one another, and specifically can help you feel connected to your great grandmother who may have passed away. Jay, you can believe me or not believe me, and either is you're right, but you don't get to keep saying the same things over and over again. I think at this point you're just never going to believe me, and my suspicions is you lead a bad life and you're looking for conspiracies to distract you from probably a pretty crummy life currently. I'm sure there are, Mr. Peaceful. I mean, they could join and be no issue. I've never met any Amish Freemasons, but I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. They'd be welcome to join. I guess it would depend on the Amish traditions and what they think of Freemasonry. There's no goats. Jay, I've sat in lodge with Muslim Freemasons, Jewish Freemasons, Hindu, Sikh, Catholic, Indigenous, and First Nations. It's always good to respect everyone, including the Amish. So to be a Freemason, Mr. Jackson, you must first be of the correct age, at least 21 years in Ontario, at least 18 in Michigan. You need to believe in a supreme being, but the nature of that supreme being can be up to you. Again, we have Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Hindu, Indigenous, Sikh, like all different types of religions are represented in Freemasonry. And you must approach the lodge of your own free will and accord. After that, you go through the application process and speak to the lodge about why you want to join and kind of what you hope to contribute, what you hope to get from it, and the lodge will vote. on whether, to bring you in or not at that point. Um, Gooey, I don't want to be anybody's supreme being. That's a terrible supreme being. I assure you, I will lead you astray. No, I've said it before, Mr. Jackson. There is nothing in any Masonic ritual that is illegal, immoral, or against one's civic, religious, or moral responsibilities. Well, luckily, we are not a criminal society and we are not a secret society. So you're wrong on both accounts, Jay. And I guess at a certain point, Mr. Jackson, you have to decide who you want to believe. But what I would say is common sense, the fact that Freemasonry has been around for so long and is so prominent, and you can just, knock on our lodge buildings and ask for tours, would indicate I'm probably more correct than Jay. But you decide for yourself. As Gooey says, just take a visit to your local lodge. I don't even think that's the case, Dan. Um, I think whether it be government, police, or anything else, it's just people. Sometimes trying to make sure that it's easy to judge different groups, especially groups that appear to have power within them. But I think we need to be really careful about that. No, Freemasonry is not connected to the Scientology Church. Nobody rides the goat. There is no riding of a goat. I think, government people can commit crimes. I think police can commit crimes. I don't think you can assign it to a group and say the government or the police. It's individuals, all of whom are struggling, all of whom are doing their best. I am the highest degree in Freemasonry, the third degree, which is the highest degree you can go. So yes, and that's true not just in Ontario, that is a truth about Freemasonry in various jurisdictions, in every jurisdiction. Well, I mean, that's not a reflection of the government, that's a reflection of the choices of government agents, particularly, I think, Donald Trump. Um, the government is the guy checking your water for appropriate like pH levels, and your school teacher is part of the government, if it's a public school. And like government's a big thing. And when you say the government does X or the government does Y, it's just a way to not think, right? Which it seems like you might be good at. It's an easy way to not think, to say the government does this or the police do that. I am a Mason. I've been a Mason for 20 years. I have no idea why there have not been any arrests, other than, in my opinion, and this is just a guess, because we in Freemasonry have nothing to do with the Epstein files, nor the government. But I'm not even American, I'm Canadian. But if I were to guess, I would guess it's incompetence of investigators and incompetence of the government in charge. Um, No, Jay, the point is you don't know what you mean. You use imprecise terms like the government, the police, because you don't have the intelligence to use precise terms. And you also know by using imprecise terms, it can mean whatever you need it to mean at any given moment. You're the type of person who would also say like the elites without defining it, because elites can mean anything. You would be an elite if you consider, for example, if you have food in your fridge, a roof over your head, if you've ever been on an airplane or driven in a car, if you know how to read and you know how to write, and you have a computer, you are an elite compared to 99% of the world. Joe Rogan would be an elite based on how much money he has, et cetera, et cetera. But again, you would use imprecise terms and then imbue them with whatever meaning you need to make your point, which is a sign of not being able to think well. Some people in government are good, some people in government are bad. Some police officers are good, some police officers are bad. Heck, some Masons are good and some Masons are bad. But the ethics of the institutions is what matters, and those are good. The ethics of, being a Freemason is good. The ethics of the police are good. The ethics of the government are good. That doesn't mean individual agents are good. Many of them can be bad, and if they are, they should go to jail. Um, whether it be a Mason or a police officer or a government worker. It was not hard, Mr. Jackson. I mean, I was grateful to do it and it was meaningful, but it wasn't hard. I had to memorize sections of the work. I had to memorize an obligation and repeat it in lodge. Memorization is a very important part of advancing within Freemasonry. Um, Original Mean Girl. I mean, I might be adding nothing to society. I guess I'll let you decide. I personally think I'm adding quite a bit, not just through Freemasonry, but you're welcome to disagree. Um, I mean, I worked in a jail for 5 years as a probation officer for 5 years. Lots of people at all different levels of society commit crimes and unfortunately get away with it for a variety of reasons. I mean, yeah, the richer you are, the more you can, for example, get better lawyers, and that is a problem. Um, but a lot of people are committing crimes at all different levels. Um, I think what matters is we set up a society in which we have as few vulnerabilities as possible, thereby making sure the vulnerabilities that criminals prey upon are not present or at least reduced, which Freemasonry does, by the way. One of the things that criminals, one of the vulnerabilities that criminals prey upon when selecting or targeting or controlling victims is isolation, loneliness, and a lack of feeling fulfillment. Freemasonry creates more integrated communities and more connected communities. It creates people who feel more fulfilled and less alone, and therefore it reduces vulnerabilities used by scammers and traffickers. Um, and if you really want to make the world a better place, Jay, and you genuinely believe in the things you're saying, don't be on here on this YouTube channel talking to me. Volunteer at your local shelter for abused women, or donate money to them, or advocate for better treatment programs in jails for people when they're getting released or before they get released so they don't reoffend. Um, Talking about the government on X is easy. Actually making a difference in your day-to-day life of the community is hard. I will say Freemasonry makes a positive difference. I would question whether you are or not. So Illuminati did not infiltrate Freemasonry, lost word. I think you're probably thinking of that letter that was written to George Washington, um, which he never responded to, and for a reason. Illuminati hasn't really existed for at least 100 years, if not more. Um, Dan, keep a record of every time there's been an incident and just keep contacting the police. Ugh, low degree, high degree nonsense. No, Freemasonry is the highest degree of Freemasonry is a third degree. I mean, I don't know who's working against us. What's working against Freemasonry is, the economic pressures people feel as though they're under, or the fact that everybody has access to like Netflix at this point, or whatever else it might be, that encourages people to stay home and not be interested in going out, to a Masonic Lodge meeting. Bab, thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. I would really, really appreciate it. And thank you for joining. I'd really like to visit some Masonic lodges in Wyoming. I think it'd be really cool and really fun. I don't know what how to answer that question. Like, I don't think my life would be worse. My life would be different. I mean, who knows? In some cases, my life might be better. Like, I have no idea what would happen if I didn't become a Freemason, right? Like, I don't know, maybe it'd be like a sliding door situation. And as I'm on my way to join the Masonic Lodge, maybe if I don't end up joining, I happen to like meet some millionaire who offers me a job flying around the world. Like, who knows? Things change, right? I can't know what my life would be otherwise. I can just know what my life is now and say that genuinely, the life I've had, I'm grateful that Freemasonry has been a part of it because it's something I enjoy and love. But I think even if I wasn't a Freemason, I would have found something else. But I like to think the things that we love or the things that we care about will ultimately find us. Yeah, Jay. Um, I know I got a big nose. People love to talk about it. I've grown to accept it. So, Jay, you need to calm down a bit and you need to do better in your own community instead of being on some stream and talking nonsense about Freemasonry. Um, Again, I'm kind of used to guys like you on these streams and outside of it as well. I kind of know what the issue is. You are just, you're looking for conspiracies and you're looking for things you can focus your energies on because it's easier to do that than to focus on problems that may exist in your own life and how to solve them, or to take actionable steps to deal with issues in the community in a positive way, right? It's much easier to be on here yelling at people about Freemasonry than to actually improving the world around you. You see the world as you want it to be because seeing the world as some type of epic battle between good and evil, between the evil government and the good citizens, it makes you feel as though you know things that other people don't and you're special in some way and you're out there fighting for the common good. It's a nice kind of delusion to tell yourself, but it's not true. There is no grand conspiracy trying to take you on or take you down or control the world or control people. There's just good people and bad people. And to the extent that we want to reduce the impact or power bad people have, what we need to do is have a greater degree of civic institutions and social engagement. Um, what advice would I give you to have a better life? I mean, I would give you the same advice probably if I was a Mason or if I wasn't, which is focus on civic engagement and focus on trying to be of service to the community around you in small but meaningful ways. Be a good neighbor, be a good friend, things of that nature, and focus on that. And cynicism, while it's probably correct, if we're being honest, it's probably correct but not helpful. Um, I'm not dancing for anybody, Lost World. No one wants to see me dance. I don't know what your book is, Jay, but I've never banned any books. I don't believe in banning books, for the record. I think banning books is probably pretty dangerous. Well, I don't always just talk to my phone. And in fact, right now, not only am I talking to my phone, but I'm raising funds for the Masonic Medical Research Institute, which, amongst other things, does research in areas related to cardiovascular disease, autoimmune, and neurocognitive disorders. And 50% of all the revenues raised from this stream, including ad revenue, including super chats and gifts, goes to MMRI. As it's done, well, I don't believe I mean, I don't know which book you're referring to. I don't know who my people are. I don't believe in banning books, but okay. Um, I don't want to do any dance. I can't dance. I have no legs. And by the way, people with no legs can't dance. I don't want to make it sound like it's impossible. But believe me, no one should No one wants to see me dance because I'm a terrible dancer. I have no sense of rhythm. Oh, lost. You may feel as though you've been humiliated in life, which might be your issue, but maybe don't be putting that onto Freemasonry. I'm going well, icosahedron, just hanging out in the midst of this content marathon. Pretty soon, I'm going to be ending this stream, and I'm going to be probably switching over to my personal stream, youtube.com/@CameronAdamson. I'm going to probably put the phone and give you guys a view of the river while I take another break because I've been streaming for just about 24 hours with a few breaks here and there. And then, we'll end the stream, and then I'll come back to this stream later on and we'll finish it off. I definitely got to end the stream at some point. Well, what are your goals, Mr. Jackson? Like, you're always going to have an easier time reaching your goals if you have support and people around you. All the evidence shows being a Freemason makes you healthier, happier. You'll live longer because we are a civic institution, civic engagement. I mean, the Governor General 2 years ago put out a report saying isolation is incredibly dangerous and incredibly harmful for one's health. And I do believe it based on my experience. Well, count. You can become a Freemason if you want, but you're going to be very disappointed because no eating flesh in Freemasonry. So very sorry to disappoint. I mean, I would say the better question is define success. If you define success as being, you want to make a lot of money or be very powerful or financially in control of things, you're going to be very disappointed. That's what Freemasonry is all about. I do not know who that is, Count, but please hit like and subscribe. I'm not an apologist for the elite. I just think the term elite is nonsense, and I think it is. You don't mean anything by it. You're an elite, at least based on how 99% of the world lives. I've actually did a episode about the Epstein files because I did a search of Freemasonry in the Epstein files to debunk this whole myth that Epstein was a Freemason or that Freemasonry has anything to do with Epstein. You do not make money as a third degree. You do not make money in any degree. And if you're joining to make money, you're going to be very disappointed. Mr. Peaceful, that's not a bad way to define success, I will say. I think there's worse ways to define it than that. But to be financially well off, to be financially okay, I think that's a good way to define success. There's nothing wrong with that. In a nutshell, morning, how's it going? Thank you for being here. Don't forget, likes, subscribe, super chat, gifts, all that stuff matters greatly and helps a lot with the channel. So, in a nutshell, how's it going? Good morning to you as well. Oh, Lozo with the joke. What do you mean? Like, how to Freemason? I mean, we meet every month, usually, with breaks in the summer. And then we'll talk to them as we go through. Maybe we don't spend enough time with each other as we should, but that's kind of a different story altogether. And thank you, by the way, for getting to 4,624 subs. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the growth I'm seeing on this channel. Hopefully we'll get to 5,000 sooner rather than later. I mean, you're not going to get financial success in Freemasonry. So if your goal is to become financially successful, you're going to be very disappointed. And if anybody tells you join Freemasonry and you'll become financially successful like Jay, Jay's lying to you because he doesn't know what he's talking about. Freemasonry has nothing to do with financial success. You might get benevolence to assist you, but that's not going to make you financially rich or famous. That will be the situation where you can't afford to pay your rent, and the Freemasons may step in to assist you, at least, in that moment when you might need the help. In a nutshell, I'm not a fan of Trump myself, but everybody can, have their own views on whether he's good or bad, I suppose. There's no discussion of religion or politics in Lodge, but I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I mean, you get a brother to talk to and to discuss your problems. You may get a brother to, if you need a place to stay while you're getting divorced, the brother may be able to assist you with, a place to stay. And you'll get something to do to distract you from the divorce, right? You can go to Masonic Lodge meetings and spend time there. And that can be a really good way to distract you from any struggles that you're going through. Which, many cases, I think that's one of the biggest benefits to and of Freemasonry. All right, in a nutshell. All right, we're going to give this a couple more minutes. I'm going to be ending this stream. I'm going to go to my personal channel, youtube.com/Cameron Adamson. I'm going to show you guys a view of the river. I'm not religious. I believe in a supreme being, but I'm not of a particular religious faith. Do that for a little bit, and then I will end the stream. I'll go into one more final stream. We're going to give this another, let's say, 5 minutes. Then, like I said, we'll end this stream, but I'll be back on with my personal channel. We'll check out the river. I'll get a little bit more of a break. And then we'll swing in and we'll end the stream. We'll have one more stream after that. Hello, Afrith. Good to see you again. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. I hope your weekend is going well for you. I don't believe the earth was created with a plan. I think the earth formed naturally 4 billion years ago. I think for some people, Freemasonry can be therapy or therapeutic. You should never use it exclusively for that, but all the evidence shows knowing people, having people around you, does absolutely result in being healthier, both mentally and physically. So in some ways, it can be therapeutic, I think. I do remember you. I don't remember everybody always. So I sometimes forget people, which I'm very sorry. What it means is you are the recipient of an invitational or honorific degree within Scottish Rite. It's very much like an attaboy. It doesn't mean you're the highest degree in Freemasonry or the most important or anything to that extent. Yes, I believe in evolution. Some Masons may believe in creationism, but I do not. What I also believe is I need to end this stream as well, because I need to get ready for another stream on my personal channel, but I will be back on, shortly, probably around 11, maybe around noon, possibly, where we can finish off the content marathon. But for the time being, I want to go to my other channel. Thank you all for being here. Once again, please take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. youtube.com/@Cameron Adamson. I'm going to show you guys the Detroit River, which is a beautiful view I got. Just a chance for you guys to check it out and see it while I take a bit of a rest. Kind of like a screensaver. But I do like to show it off. I think it's a cool view. It's youtube.com/@Cameron Adamson @CameronAdamson. All right, I'll write it down. Just give me 1 second. See if I can get there now. So it's youtube.com/@Cameron Adamson. You should be able to find it there. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. And have a good time. Have a good day if I don't see you again. If I do see you again, thank you as always for being here. Either way, I much appreciate it.